Ravens fan, no one saw this coming. After another spectacular season, Mark Andrews became the target of speculation, with some even talking about a possible departure from the team. But does that make sense? Would the Ravens really consider parting ways with Lamar Jackson's favorite target? What seemed like just a rumor quickly grew into something bigger, and now the franchise has to make a decision that could impact the future of their offense. Andrews' future is on the line, and any wrong move here could cost them dearly. Stay with me until the end because this story has much more than it seems. Go Raven! Mark Andrews has always been one of the most reliable players on the Ravens offense. The guy Lamar Jackson turns to when the team needs him the most. For years, he's delivered high-low performances, being one of the best tight ends in the NFL. But what happened in the playoffs against the Bills completely changed how many are seeing his future in Baltimore. In a crucial game where every play could define a season, Andrews made two mistakes that weighed heavily on the result and left the fans frustrated. In the final quarter, when the Ravens had a chance to turn the game around, he fumbled, giving the ball to Buffalo, and it got worse at the end. During a two-point conversion that could have tied the game, Andrews let the ball slip out of his hands, a mistake that basically sealed Baltimore's elimination. It was a shocking moment for the fans because no one expected a player of his caliber to make such crucial errors. From there, the fan base's trust started to waver, and frustration turned into questions about the tight end's future with the team. The problem is that these mistakes came at a very delicate moment. Andrews is entering the final year of his contract, which means the Ravens need to decide whether to keep him for more time or go in another direction. Before this game, no one imagined the team would consider a change, but now doubts are growing. A player's performance in the playoffs weighs heavily when planning for the future, and when an important player falters at such a decisive moment, the consequences can be huge. Given this situation, discussions started about what the Ravens should do. Is it worth sticking with Andrews despite the mistakes? Or is it time to consider a trade and go in a new direction? The debate grew even stronger after rumors started circulating about a possible move by the franchise to get rid of the tight end, and that's where we get to the real question. Could Andrews really be traded? After the Ravens' elimination, it didn't take long for speculation about Mark Andrews' future to surface. With a hefty contract and a frustrating end to the season, some began to question whether the Ravens might consider trading him to free up cap space and look for reinforcement. The idea seemed ridiculous a few months ago, but after the playoff mistake, the conversation gained traction. If the Ravens truly wanted to go in a new direction, trading Andrews now could bring important assets to the roster and avoid losing the player for nothing in the future. Additionally, the tight end position isn't exactly a need for Baltimore. Isaiah likely showed he can take on a bigger role with the team, and Charlie Kolar is also gaining ground. With two young talents on the roster, the idea of trading Andrews started to look like a smart way to refresh the team while also easing the salary cap. After all, the Ravens already have enough challenges keeping other key players and need to manage every dollar spent wisely. But does this really make sense? According to Jeff Zrebiec of The Athletic, the answer is no. He stated that the Ravens aren't even considering getting rid of Andrews, and that trade rumors are nothing but speculation. The tight end isn't just a key player on offense, but also one of Lamar Jackson's closest friends on the team. Removing the primary target of the quarterback doesn't seem like a logical decision, especially when considering the chemistry they've built over the years. Still, uncertainty remains because Andrews is in the final year of his contract, and Baltimore has to decide whether to renew or go a different route. If the Ravens really don't want to trade him, the next big question is, how will the franchise handle this situation to avoid letting Andrews walk for nothing in the future? Mark Andrews' contract is one of the key points in this discussion. He has 1 year left on his deal, and if the Ravens don't make a decision now, they risk seeing him become a free agent next year. The team could simply let him play out his final season and assess the situation later, but this approach comes with a big risk. If Andrews has a standout year, his market value could rise even more, making a future extension even harder to secure. One of the most logical options would be to try for a contract extension now, something that would reduce his salary cap hit for 2024 and ensure his stay for a longer period. This way, the Ravens would keep one of their most important players without committing too much of the team's budget. This strategy has been used with other players in the past and might be the best solution to avoid uncertainties down the road. Another possibility would be to trade Andrews before the season starts, should the Ravens believe that a new contract will be too expensive or that Likely could take over as the starter. However, parting ways with a player of his caliber would carry huge risks for the offense, especially for Lamar Jackson, who would lose his top target in the passing game. The psychological and technical impact of Andrews leaving would be massive, and this is a decision the team needs to weigh very carefully. But there's a factor that could complicate this equation even further: the future of the Ravens' other tight end. Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kolar are also entering the final year of their contract, meaning Baltimore will have to make tough decisions about who to keep and how to manage the position's money in the coming years. Well, we've passed the halfway point of the video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important for YouTube to keep recommending my content, and that helps me keep bringing you these updates. So, go ahead and hit that like button. It's free. Thanks. Now, back to the video. If Andrews' case already presents challenges, the situation becomes even more complicated when we look at the other tight ends on the roster. Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kolar are also in the last year of their contracts, and the Ravens will have to decide what to do with them. Likely, in particular, has shown tremendous potential and may command a big contract when he becomes a free agent. If Baltimore wants to keep him, it may be hard to justify heavy investments in two tight ends at the same time. The tight end position has always been one of the key strengths of the Ravens' offense, and the franchise has built an identity around this group. But paying two players at the same time, especially when there are other needs on the roster, is not an easy task. If the team decides to extend Andrews, it might mean Likely's departure the following year. On the other hand, if they choose to invest in the young tight end and let Andrews go, they'd be sacrificing one of Lamar Jackson's top targets. This dilemma makes any decision about Andrews much more complex than just his recent performance. The question involves long-term planning, financial impact, and the overall strategy for the future of the offense. The Ravens will have to choose between keeping one of the most productive tight ends in the NFL or betting on a cheaper and more flexible future with Likely and Kolar. Regardless of the choice, the impact will be significant on how the team organizes itself in the years to come. Given all this, one thing is clear: Mark Andrews remains a key player for the Ravens, and despite all the pressure, the franchise knows that parting with him isn't a simple decision. Now, the big question is, what will the Ravens do to resolve the situation without jeopardizing the team's future? With so many factors at play, the Ravens need to act wisely to ensure the situation doesn't become a bigger problem in the future. The first big decision will be determining whether Andrews will receive a contract extension or if he'll play the last season without any guarantees about his future. Leaving this uncertainty in the air could be dangerous because if he has a great year, the competition for his renewal will be much higher, making it even harder for him to stay on the team. Additionally, the franchise needs to carefully evaluate the financial impact of this choice. If Baltimore decides to keep Andrews and renew his contract, they'll have to make cuts or restructures in other positions to balance the salary cap. This could mean less money available to strengthen areas like the offensive line or even to keep key pieces of the defense. Every decision here affects the overall team planning, and the Ravens can't afford to make mistakes. Another crucial point is the future of Isaiah Likely. If the Ravens see him as Andrews' successor, the most logical route might be to ensure a gradual transition, preparing him for a larger role in the offense. However, parting with Andrews and relying solely on Likely's development is risky. The team needs to decide whether they're willing to pay to keep both, or if they'll have to make a difficult choice between them. In the end, what's clear is that the Ravens can't simply ignore the situation and wait to see what happens. Any move regarding Andrews will have a profound impact on the team, and the franchise needs to act now to ensure the offense remains competitive and that Lamar Jackson has the necessary support to take Baltimore to the next level. Mark Andrews may have been criticized for what happened in the playoffs, but the truth is that parting with him would be too risky a move for the Ravens. With uncertainty about a possible extension, the team needs to decide quickly what to do, as every choice here could directly affect the future of the offense and even the chemistry with Lamar Jackson. Letting Andrews go would create a hole that's hard to fill, but keeping him also means dealing with a significant financial impact. Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you think the Ravens should renew with Andrews, or would it be better to seek another solution for the offense? Comment below. I want to know what you think about this situation. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates about our team.